Hello, and welcome back to Duck Reads. Today we'll be covering Chapter 7 of Watanagashi, which is Book 2 of Higurashi When They Cry Ho. Sit down, relax, and let's get started. Wow! It's Keiji-kun. Good morning, good morning! Rena was ecstatically waving her arms at me, already brimming with energy. What do you mean, good morning? It's already evening. Just say hello or something. But this is the first time I've seen you today, so I think good morning is right. It's right. I got it. Okay then, good morning it is. Good morning, Rena. I grabbed Rena's head and rubbed it with my hand. She squirmed, reveling in the motion like a cat. Hey, Kate-chan. Sorry about yesterday. I left without telling you. No, it's my fault. Sorry for making you wait so long. Are you talking about setting up for the festival yesterday? How was it, Keiichi-kun? Did you do your job properly? The slight muscle pain throughout my body and my sluggish movements were already obvious. I did great. I'm pretty worn out now, though. I grinned dryly, and the three of us break out into laughter. Where's Satoko and Rika-chan? Are we meeting up with them at the festival? Yep, Rika-chan's actually been there since yesterday because she has such an important job. I think Satoko-chan stayed with her, so they're already at the shrine. Right, I just remembered. Today was Rika-chan's big performance. She'd been practicing especially hard for this day. As her friend, I needed to make sure I went and cheered her on. Alright, let's go right away. Yeah! As we got closer to the shrine, we started passing by more people and seeing a lot of parked cars. It began to get noisier too. I thought I could hear something like a Bond dance song. Without being able to restrain my impatience, I dashed up the entire flight of stone stairs. Keiichi-kun, you're going too fast. Wait for me. Man, Kei-chan, you're such a little kid. Whoa, the shrine grounds? They were packed with people. It was a festival if I ever saw one. Wow. They went all out this year too. Amazing, amazing. They're coming from Hinamizawa. Huh? The bedridden old man from the Kimiyoshi branch family is here too. I think that old guy went home from Watanagashi last year and stayed in bed ever since. Yeah, there were a lot of villagers here that I didn't really know. They must have all been pouring in just for today. Oh, it's Satoko-chan. Hey! Oh, if it isn't everyone. Yes, hello to you all. Yo, Satoko. There's a lot of people today. Don't get lost in the crowd, okay? Who do you even think you're talking to? Satoko, too, seems somehow energetic. Of course, I'm the same way. Huh? Where's Rika-chan? She still has free time, doesn't she? Rika was giving her respect to the mayor and other important people. She shall come before long. I see. Rika-chan is the shrine maiden for today's festival, after all. It's probably a pain for her to say hello to all the elders. It really is a pain. Hello, everyone. How? Rika-chan, I want to take you home. Rika-chan wore an immaculate shrine maiden outfit that looked fresh off the shelves. It was a perfect fit for her somehow mystical appearance. How does it fit? It's not too long, is it? My grandma gave me some safety pins just in case the sleeves are too long. It's alright. It really is comfortable. As she spoke, she began to do some twists and stretches. It's great, it's so cute. How? There was approximately one person here getting a nosebleed from watching Rika-chan move. Keiichi-kun, don't you think she's cute? Don't you? If you don't, then she'll be all mine, and I'll take her home with me. I think she's really cute. Totally cool. Enough that I want to pretend to be your big brother or dad and take pictures with her. If we take a picture from 2 different places and make it stereoscopic, we can eat, or rather stare at, a real-life Rika-chan at our houses whenever we want. How? That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. Rena's eyes and mine glittered with stars as our noses bled and we drooled. Rika, you'd best stay away from them. Yes, or I might get locked away in a basement somewhere. You look like you're enjoying it though, Rika-chan. Me, you're being harsh. We all laughed together again. Okay, let's not hang around here. Let's get to the festival. There's not much time left until Rika-chan's big debut. You're right. Great. Let's go, everyone. Yeah. Yo, if it isn't the daughter of Sonozaki. Eat up. The yakisoba is packed full of pork. This year we filled it up as much as we could. We even put in fried calamari. Gotcha, old-timer. The yakisoba this year looks like quite an achievement. You have squid too. You put a ton of time into this, didn't you? Wow, it's tasty, it's tasty. Yeah, the squid is delicious, but the aroma is just fantastic. It wonderfully compensates for how soft it tends to be. There's a delightful amount of squid and pork in it too. Yep, not bad at all, I say. Haha. Kei-chan, you sound like you could walk into a cooking program and become the host. Yeah, when I see Keiichi-kun acting like it's so good, it somehow tastes even better. I don't discriminate among delicious food. So anything that I say is tasty has got to be worth trying out, right? Then Keiichi, please give us your opinion of this yakisoba again. I'll do it in 2 words. Absolutely scrumptious. If I had a second stomach, I'd buy another one right now. Having heard my 3-star rating, a whole line of people suddenly formed in front of the yakisoba stand. Wow, that's amazing. Kei-chan said it was so good that a little crowd started to form. Not bad. It was nothing to brag about, but I still decided to stick out my chest and put on airs. Oh, is that so? Then perhaps I shall try it out. Mister, could I perchance bother you for one takoyaki? Satoko bought a stick of takoyaki, balls of fried octopus, from the adjacent stand, and after blowing on it, put one of them into her mouth. How is it, Satoko-chan? If you give it a good rating, then Rena will buy it too. Chomp chomp, chew chew. Gulp. Now it's time for the Hinamizawa Michelin, Judge Satoko Hojo, to give her impressions. Though she was all for it a moment ago, Satoko hesitated to give her thoughts. Hey now, what's the matter? Everyone else takes one of their own and puts it into their mouths. Huh? Rena got gipped. Mine's bad too. There's no octopus in it. This takoyaki vendor. Could this be some sort of summer festival only octopus-free takoyaki stand? An evil takoyaki stand that skimped on the octopus because they figured it would make them good money today. Ah, mine has some. Yeah, it's pretty good considering there's octopus in it. how am I supposed to explain that this octopus-free takoyaki is any good? Everyone wondered about that. Our quizzical looks seemed to be drawing equally dubious stares from the people in line. How about this? Takoyaki without any octopus is really healthy. And even people who don't like octopus can eat this delicious takoyaki. After hearing that, several surprised guests left the line. It had the exact opposite effect. Alright then, I'll give it a try next. A self-inspired take on takoyaki, in which you can clearly taste the simple flavors of the flour, green onions, and pickled ginger. The unaffected taste is bolstered by the absence of octopus. It wasn't half bad, but after hearing the "there's no octopus in it" clause, even more people left the line. But Rika-chan, any good comments? You can be honest. 400 yen is too much for this. That was too honest. Even more customers leave the line, dealing a lethal blow. There were other takoyaki stands around, after all. Well, I mean, we might not want to be doing this. Hey, Satoko, you started all this, so give us a great big turnaround. I cannot do it. How do you expect me to lavish praise upon takoyaki without any octopus in it? Ah, you idiot! Satoko's angry outburst was the finishing blow. The customers are all gone. Huh? The guy is staring at us. Why is that? Why is that? How? Sigh. There's no saving this crowd. Perhaps I, Keiichi Maibara-sama, will lend a generous hand. Keiichi-kun, you could do it. We want you to save the takoyaki vendor who didn't put any octopus in. Don't smile as you say something so bitter. Alright, fine. This may be the only chance you'll get to see a pro at work, so watch carefully. I shoved a stick into an octopus-less takoyaki and crammed it into my mouth. As before, there wasn't any octopus in it. But Mion's had some in it. That was the important point. The man who runs this takoyaki stand, he truly loves takoyaki, in every meaning of the word. No, it could even be said that he adores it. Huh? Everyone gasped in surprise, including the takoyaki vendor glaring at us. This man truly does love takoyaki, and because he loves it, he doesn't want to create half-hearted random ones. Isn't that right? The takoyaki vendor looked down, unsure. Those watching were listening intently, wanting to know why octopus-less takoyaki deserves such a high rating. Keiichi-san, if you really and truly love takoyaki that much, why did you make takoyaki without octopus at all? Is he not betraying that very takoyaki? You may be right. In one sense, it is a betrayal. However, it's the best possible compromise this man could find. This man is making real takoyaki today, as he always does. However, only one or two of them on each stick are the real ones. Well, you're right. The one I ate had octopus in it. And considering it did actually have it, it didn't taste bad at all, you know? Right. That was a bona fide takoyaki. And as for the other ones, it was the biggest compromise he could make against the biases of the general populace, who all think there need to be 8 pieces on the stick, or else it's not real takoyaki. Huh? Keiichi-kun, I don't understand what you mean. Why is one of them the real thing, and all the other ones are fakes? Why? The secret lies in the octopus. Mister, this octopus, it's true Akashi octopus, isn't it? In recent years, the number of octopuses caught in Akashi have decreased, and their prices have risen drastically. The prices are now so high that you wouldn't think of using them in takoyaki. Then the man, who had been looking down this whole time, mumbled, "Yeah, that's right. Akashi octopus. It's very expensive." But this man absolutely had to have the Akashi octopus. He could have bought much worse quality octopus for cheaper, as much as he wanted, and he would have still been able to fool everyone. There are plenty of other scamming takoyaki vendors who claim theirs are from Akashi, even though they're not. But this man wouldn't accept it. He wouldn't tell lies. Akashi octopus are supreme. He would never relinquish this one stubborn conviction. This man loved takoyaki. That's why he never lied. Yet, there was one point he absolutely had to compromise on. What might that be? The number. A popular opinion is that a stick of takoyaki should have 8 pieces on it. Even if it's real Akashi octopus, he couldn't charge 400 yen for just 1 piece, could he? If he didn't have 8 pieces, nobody would buy them. This man wept over it. In order to make just 1 true piece of takoyaki, he wouldn't ever let himself lie through the other 7. Oh, whoa! The octopus-free takoyaki vendor burst into tears. I gently clapped one of his shoulders. No matter what anyone else says, I will never forget how genuine you are. You, sir, are a true vendor of takoyaki. You are the only one in the world that has the right to call himself that. Clap, 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 clap. As I embraced the shoulders of this man, shedding his manly tears, those watching delivered a round of applause, moved by my speech. Everyone, I beg of you, please eat some of this true takoyaki vendor's takoyaki. If we don't treasure genuine men like this, then how can we protect the true path of the takoyaki? If nobody else will eat them, then I will eat them all! What? Everyone watching is lining up! Keiichi-kun, you did it! You did it! I think it's more they thought Kei-chan's propaganda speech was interesting, rather than that the takoyaki actually looked good. Kei-chan, you could probably sell plain old rocks if you tried. You would go over well at the entrance of Akihabara Station. Rika, I've never heard of this Akihabara. Where is it? Absolutely stunned at my successful pitch, the guy manning the stall next to this one called out to me. Hey, you guys, do that for my sweets too. Great, you all get the gist of it, right? It's your turn this time, Rena. Okay, I'll do my best. How? When apricot sweets are cold, they're very, very good. The apricot is sitting so quietly and nicely on top of the syrup. It's so cute. I want to take it home. How? It looks like she lost herself in this midway through. But a girl giving it such natural praise was itself bringing in some customers. A line was quickly forming behind Rena. Next up is the okonomiyaki stand. Satoko, you're up. The crunch of the fried tempura batter mixed with yakisoba is simply to die for. With a huge piece of bacon laid on top, when you bite into it, it all comes flooding out. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Yeah, that's freaking great. Now I want to try some too. Then, a huge line formed at my words. What on earth is this? So basically all these onlookers are just following us around to all the stands. When people hear about food from others and then try it for themselves, it tastes a lot better than it normally would. So that's it. Even Rika-chan was gorging herself on the food, getting sauce on the bib she'd put on to prevent her Shrine Maiden outfit from getting dirty. Nice! The older guys are getting into it too. Okay, Kei-chan, which one should I do? Right, Mion, you go to the stand next to that. Show them the depths of your power. Huh? But Kei-chan, the stall next to that is... Whoops. A goldfish scooping stand. A bit out of our element. No, as club president, I won't flee no matter who or what my opponent. Let's get started. I look forward to a splendid performance, Mion-san. The onlookers were also watching Mion with hopeful eyes. Welcome, welcome. Here's your net and bowl. Okay, here we go. The goldfish are energetic today. They really look delicious. Small things like these, you could crunch them down whole. Mutter, mutter. Mion-san, what in the world are you saying? Mi-chan, you eat them? Did you eat the one Rena caught last year too? No, I didn't say anything like that. Mion's face went red and she shook it vehemently in denial. Well, I mean, you just said so yourself that they really look delicious. Yes, you did indeed say so. My sister is omnivorous. She eats anything that can go in her mouth. If they taste good, then maybe I'll try one next time. No, Rika-chan, don't! You'll get sick! Wait a second. Hey, what the hell? Shion, how long have you been here? Hey, Kei-chan, Mion, everyone, good evening. Where did you come from, Shion? I've been here since the bit with the yakisoba. You were all so loud that I found you right away. Jeez, you got nothing to do with this, do you? Go somewhere else already. Jeez, Mion, don't treat me so cruelly. Right, Kei-chan? You're okay with me being here, right? She asked, grabbing my arm and pushing her chest into it. Bounce. Keiichi-kun, you're a pervert. Your nose is bleeding. When you squish a jelly donut, the jelly comes out, right? It's the same. This isn't something I have any control over. Huh, is that right? Then will more come out if I squeeze harder? Yeah, squeeze. Shion's, her cleavage, it's right up against my chest. Drip. Gah! Shion, what the heck are you trying to do? How vulgar. I seem to have misjudged you. What about my flat chest? Rika-chan clasps onto my other arm too. Rub. A plentiful, plump feeling on my left shoulder, and the sour sensation of a young, unripe fruit on my right. How? Boom, boom, bang. Shion, Rika-chan, and I, our faces now bruised, fell to the ground, limbs sprawled. Nice job, Rena. Everyone is so dirty. How? Rena punched me. It really hurts. Rika, you get what you deserve. Sheesh. Now that Shion was here, the energy around us had increased by 120%. Your friends are so much fun, Mion. I never get bored of them. Ah, right. If you weren't here, it would be way more fun, you know? I want to stay with you all, but if I continue seducing Kei-chan, my sister looks like she's literally going to bite my head off. So I'll retreat for now. I'll be back. See you, Mion. Don't be back. Get the salt. Someone get the salt! After teasing her older sister so much, Shion ran away into the crowd of people and disappeared. I feel that I have borne witness to a rare side of Mion-san. When Mi-chan is with Shi-chan, she looks kinda cute. Rena smiled happily, earning her a whack on the head from Mion. Don't say dumb stuff. Let's get to the next stand already. We went about just like that, really noisy and lively, to the other stands. We were paying money towards the beginning, but midway through, the guys running the shops thought we were just too funny, and we ended up being able to fool around without paying much more. Thump! The vigorous sound of a big taiko drum echoed through the air. Rika, it looks like it's time. Yep, looks like it. Right. It's just about time for Rika-chan to appear in the offertory dance. I'm a little nervous. Believe in yourself. All of your sweat will definitely amount to something, Rika-chan. Mion slapped hard on Rika-chan's back. That's right. You'll do fantastic, Rika. I'll do my best. Yeah, that's the spirit. I ball my hand into a fist and raise it into the air. We're rooting for you, Rika-chan. Go for it. Yeah. Remember? Go for it. Yeah. Rika-chan gave the best smile I'd ever seen, then pivoted on her heel and ran off. Okay, we should get going too. Right. Let's go cheer her on. You mustn't. You must keep silent during the performance. I got it. Jeez. I rubbed a hand through her hair. She was worried about her good friend up to the end. Then we'd better hurry. All the good spots will be taken. Come on! Mion ran off, and everyone else followed a moment later. A large amount of people had already clustered into the tight space to watch the edifying dance. Wow, this is a lot of people. I turned around to look at everyone else, but nobody was there. Where did everyone go? They probably got lost among all these people. Finally, I spotted the back of Mion's head on the other side of the crowd. It definitely doesn't look like I can get over there. Well, we got separated. No big deal. We can just meet back up when Rika-chan's dance is over. I gave up on finding the others and wandered around, trying to look for a place where I'd be able to see it better. It didn't take me long to realize I'd have to settle for watching between the heads of the people in front of me, though. Thump! Once again, an even louder taiko drum resounded. This one was to announce the beginning of the dance. I couldn't see very well, but it seemed like Rika-chan had come on stage with the elders, who were in priestly garb. I heard low exhalations of admiration and the seniors rubbing their prayer beads in gratitude. Everyone's heads were in the way, and I couldn't see. It was really frustrating. We should have cut playtime short and come here to get good spots earlier. After Rika-chan intoned the prayer, she took the festival hoe and walked to the pile of quilts stacked on the altar. That's right. The point of the ceremony was to purify bedding and to hold a memorial service, wasn't it? Then the solemn offertory dance began. She had practiced using a mochi pounding mallet. The awkwardly shaped festival hoe Rika-chan held seemed really heavy. Back and forth, up and down, it was doubtlessly difficult to even lift in the air, but she sweated and waved, raised and dropped it, again and again. She couldn't just deal with it and do it grudgingly. As the shrine maiden, she needed to retain the dignity and solemnity present at this festival. There must be a ton of pressure on Rika-chan's shoulders right now. Damn, why am I cheering her on from a place I can barely see her? I'm her friend, so I should be right up in the best spot rooting for her. Kei-chan, over here. Someone tugged lightly on the back of my shirt collar. It was Shion. She beckoned me outside the crowded ring of people. She had a mischievous grin on her face, and I took it as her saying she knew a good place nobody else knew of. Shion, what's up? Shh. Just be quiet and come with me. After she told me so, she ran in a big detour around the throng. Man, it's great to have someone who knows the lay of the land here at times like this. Impressed though I was, I nearly lost sight of her right away. No more getting separated for me. I ran after her so that I wouldn't be left behind. As I wondered in anticipation what kind of secret spot Shion had in mind, we left the crowd of people and went around to the back of the shrine grounds. Hey, wait, where are we going? We're getting further and further away. Shh. Just stay quiet and follow me. You'll understand soon. Shion gave me a wink that reminded me of Mion as she said that. No sign of people, and not much moonlight. It was dark. We had gotten pretty far away from the crowd of people on the shrine grounds. How are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance from here? I see. There's some high spot around here, isn't there? Like a rooftop, or somewhere we can look down at it, right? What? Why do we have to climb onto the roof? Well, how else are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance? Did you really want to see Rika-chan's dance? Kei-chan, could it be that your strike zone is really low? I don't think we're understanding each other here. Weren't you going to show me somewhere I could see Rika-chan's dance from easily? What? Who made that promise? Ah! What's going on? Why me? Why do I always misunderstand Shion? Is it my fault? Am I just reading the wrong things into it? Then why did you call me all the way out here? With an expression that indicated she wasn't fooling around, Shion pressed her index finger to my lips and said slowly and quietly, "This place is a dark, dead, empty spot. You can't see it from the festival grounds, and now a male and female of the same age are all alone together." Eh? Could this be? Shion, she's not planning something crazy again, is she? Shh. Look over there. See? Shion whispered, pointing into the dark underbrush. And there we saw two figures, one male and one female. What's that? Is that? We're right at the scene of a rendezvous, of course. See? Look closely. Can you tell who they are? I peered intently into the dark at Shion's suggestion. Oh, it's Tomitake-san and Takano-san. The two of them were clearly breathing quietly and glancing around to make sure nobody knew they were there, as they crouched before the entrance to a wooden storehouse-like building. Wait, Shion. Could this be what you wanted to show me? Kei-chan, you can see Rika-chan's dance any year, but you won't ever get another chance like this, okay? I had thought the Sonozaki sisters each had their own personalities, but at times like this, they seemed all too similar. I'm going back. Don't call me for something like this again. If you move now, they'll see us. At our noisy argument, Takano-san suddenly turned around. Oh my, who might that be? We held our breaths and tried to wait it out, but it seemed like Takano-san was now acutely aware of our presence. She and I exchanged glances, and then gave up and climbed out from behind the bush. Well, hello there. The moon sure is beautiful tonight, isn't it? My. If it isn't Shion-chan and Maibara-kun. Good evening. Yes, the moon certainly is pretty. What's this? Keiichi-kun, you sure are smart, you know that? Having a secret date in a place like this? Then I guess we accidentally interrupted something important. Ha ha ha. You're the ones who are meeting up secretly. Tomitake-san and Takano-san laughed to themselves, and it got on my nerves for some reason. Wait, so you two weren't having a little rendezvous then? Of course we weren't. Though I don't dislike that kind of romance. Hehe. Unfortunately, this wasn't the location of a rendezvous either of you would want to see. Sorry for not living up to your expectations. If this wasn't a rendezvous, then what were you doing? Tomitake-san, were you messing around with the padlock on the door just now? Huh? After she said that, I looked at the two of them again, and I definitely saw it. They were hunched in front of a warehouse door, fiddling with a pretty heavy-looking padlock. Guess we've been found out, huh? We were trying to break into the warehouse, but don't tell anyone, alright? Don't tell anyone? Are you thieves or something? I demanded unthinkingly, just because of how absent-mindedly Tomitake-san was grinning. Nah, never. Thieves are people who steal things, right? It's not like we were trying to take anything out of here. I see. Then why are you trying to unlock the door? This is the forbidden storehouse for ritual tools. They say only the Furude family and a mere handful of others are allowed in. Forbidden storehouse? I took a few steps back at that and looked on the entire warehouse. It certainly looked like one, built removed from any signs of people, almost as if in secret. It was filthy, revealing how little it was ever opened. And it was built to be durable, giving it a strange, overpowering impression. Now that I looked at it more closely, it was certainly different than normal warehouses. This place. They're called ritual implements. Basically, this is a warehouse where they store such tools used in rituals. Well, more accurately, maybe it's a temple where the implements are enshrined. The ritual hell Rika-chan is using for the offertory dance was inside here until today. Of course, if anyone but the Furude family enters, they bring impurity into it, so absolutely no one is allowed a single step inside it. It's a sanctuary. Shouldn't we absolutely not be coming to a place like this, then? However, Takano was wearing a childlike expression, an innocent smile at best, and terribly cruel grin at worst. I told you I was researching Hinamizawa's folk tales and legends out of an interest in them, didn't I? A lot of the answers to questions I'm curious about are hidden away inside here. I've waited all this time until today for this chance. A chance. Everybody's eyes were fixed on the dance at the shrine grounds today. This was the ultimate blind spot. I see. I didn't know you had lockpicking skills, Tomitake-san. Stop it. I don't want to be doing this, okay? Sorry for taking you along with me, but this was all thanks to you, Jiro-san. I really am grateful. Sheesh. This is the only time, understand, Takano-san? I don't want to be sneaking into places like this. You really are a good person, Jiro-san. Kerclink. Tomitake-san undid the padlock and placed it to the side. It's open. Thank you. At long last. Takano-san gulped. With an unusually excited air about her, she gave the heavy door a shove. The sharp smell of mold and dust flowed out from the gap in the doors. I had claimed curses didn't exist, but in this situation, I could believe in them. If we went into such a holy place with our shoes on, it feels like we could be punished somehow. How about it? You're accomplices too. You came all the way here, so why not come in and take the tour? It'll be a little field trip to a museum of precious cultural artifacts that conceal the secret history of Hinamizawa. And it's only open today. Hee hee. We're not accomplices or anything. Aren't you interested, though? Come on, let's take a peek. Shion said, predictably, linking her arm with mine. But we definitely shouldn't be doing this. This is a holy warehouse, isn't it? You said ritual implements, right? I really feel like we shouldn't go in. I'm a part of the Sonozaki family, so I have a good guess as to what we'll find in there. But I want you to see it too, Kei-chan. You want to show something to me? I thought it was just a ploy, but Shion's eyes looked entirely serious. Of course, she was the sort who could lie with a straight face. Of course, I was an average boy, too. My curiosity was at least twice that of a normal person. Sleeping forbidden treasures, never to leave this warehouse. Chances like this don't come around too often. If I had to choose, then I want to see. Until the locked door is open, though. I don't know about this. If you're not interested, Kei-chan, then you can leave now. I think you'll wonder about it later, though. Tomitaki-san spoke after listening to our discussion, himself having sat down on the stairs to take a short rest. I'll keep watch here. Go in and check it out with them. I'm not too interested, but it might be pretty interesting for a young guy like you, Keiichi-kun. He said, laughing mischievously. There was no ill will in his laughter. Tomitaki-san, do you know what's in here? Kind of. Takano-san told me all about it. Must be a pain to have to go along with your companion's unique hobbies, huh? Tomitaki-san didn't answer that, only responding with a pained smile. Takano-san had this kind of scary air about her, like she'd drop absolutely everything else for something she had an interest in and go straight for it, but Tomitaki-san, on the other hand, seemed like the gold standard of what a normal person should be. Having him tell me so frankly to go check it out suddenly made the guilt feel lighter. Okay, but just a little. If it's not interesting, I'm leaving. You got it. Shion gave me another Mion-like wink. Looks like we're decided. Shall we go inside? Jiro-san, we'll leave this to you. Tomitaki-san waved his hand to see us off. The inside was pitch black, but Takano-san turned on the battery-powered lantern she'd brought, revealing a pretty cramped front room. It's so dark in here. Everyone, take care not to trip over anything. I appreciate the concern. Okay, doorman, keep a good watch. We're shutting the door now. Takano-san smiled spitefully, as if leaving Tomitaki-san out of something fun, and began to close the door. Man. Alright, everyone. Have fun. There was a low, heavy, and loud noise, and we were completely cut off from the outside world, and covered in silent darkness. Takano-san's lantern was the only light we had. It'll be fine. It's an outdoor lantern with backup batteries inside. It won't go out or anything. Looks like Takano noticed my uneasy expression. I couldn't help but blush a little and avert my gaze. Deeper inside, there was a heavy and old but sturdy door with solemn decorations on it. It was the last door sealing away what was within. Strange how it has an antechamber, even though it's just a warehouse, isn't it? I believe it's set up this way so that you can open one door at a time, never letting the room with all the tools be seen from the outside. Takano-san explained this, awfully impressed by the construction. But still, it's really dark in here. Huh? That over there, it's... I spotted a circuit breaker hanging from a clump of wiring, clumsily attached to the wall. Oh, here. Isn't this the light switch or something? I flipped the biggest switch I can find, and with a click, the pitch-black room was illuminated by an old, bare light bulb. Everyone scrunched up their faces at the sudden strobe-like brightness. Don't! Before she even finished, Shion slapped my hand and flipped the switch back. There was another loud click, and the room returned to darkness, with only the lantern for illumination. Ow! You can't, Kei-chan. We snuck in here, remember? If you turn on the light, it might give us away. I'm scolded by Shion fairly harshly. It looked like she was worried about whether someone had seen them from the momentary light. It's all right. It was only for a moment. Takano-san remained a relaxed adult. It seemed like she was confident she could talk her way out of it if someone did see us. Let's go in. Here we go. There. The even heavier door opened, and this time it wasn't just the dust that came out with the air. There was also a nasty smell. One smell was like opening a dust-filled cupboard in the back of a kitchen that hadn't been opened in years. And the other smell, the nasty one, was hard to explain, but it was like the raw odor of a fish market. From how the sound echoed, this room felt far larger than the first. Takano-san held up her lantern and revealed the contents of the expansive room. Whoa! At the back wall of the storehouse, right in front of us, was a Buddha-like holy object, standing there looking down at us. I was taken aback by its unseen force, lit up by the slender beam of the lantern. That's the guardian god of Hinamizawa, Oyashiro-sama. It's far grander than the one at the shrine. Oyashiro-sama. So this is the spirit protecting Hinamizawa. The one guarding the holy land of Hinamizawa from the impurities of the outside world, and the one delivering punishment after punishment upon those who attempted to sully the land with a dam construction. It looks like there are far more tools stored here than I thought, but this is so sad. None of them have been maintained. How unfortunate that they're in such a state. Even in the dim light, I could see a lot of strange objects lining the walls, ceiling, and shelves. Takano-san, speaking as if in a trance, was infatuated by the various implements filling the dark room. They weren't very festival-like, or traditional, but instead, this was more like the workshop of a blacksmith or a carpenter. There were a lot of large wooden and metal tools packed in here. Putting it bluntly, it was all pretty boring stuff. I'd imagine there would be more artistic things in here from the Heian period, but these are a far cry from being cultural artifacts. My expression betrayed my dashed hopes, and they caught on right away. Oh, is this not interesting for you? I'm not into literature or art, so I could look at this stuff, but I don't really understand its value. Keiichi-kun, you really do look like you don't get it. I guess that's only natural. Takano-san reached into a paper bag that she'd been holding the whole time, took out a worn scrapbook, and began to flip through it. Then, just for you, Keiichi-kun, I'll tell you an old story. It's a common tale in this region. If you go to the library, it would even be on their recommended reading list. Telling stories in such a dark, creepy place? She must have a horror story in mind. Shion's face belied nothing but calm. If she had the same personality as Mion, she'd have found fault with me being scared. I'll undo it for now and pretend to be calm. Okay, alright, I'll read it. After confirming that I was going to be quiet and listen, she began to speak softly, like a kindergarten teacher reading a picture book. Long, long ago, in a certain village in the mountains, there was a swamp. This swamp was very, very deep. Some even called it bottomless. People said it was connected to Hell, the land of demons. The rumors said it was deeper than the ocean, and that anyone it swallowed would sink into the underworld. A bottomless swamp. Its name was Onigafuchi. Wait. I thought back to the story I heard yesterday about the sacrifices sinking into the bottomless swamp. Could that be the swamp she's talking about? So then, the village was Hinamizawa, right? You catch on quickly. That's right. Though it was called Onigafuchi Village at the time. Onigafuchi Village. That's a pretty inauspicious name. It evokes quite the image, doesn't it? I hear that the name was changed in the Meiji period. The name of the swamp connected to Hell was called Onigafuchi, which meant the Demon's Abyss. And the true name of this village, Hinamizawa, was Onigafuchi Village. The villagers belonged to that abyss, or to Hell, in other words. They lived their lives worshipping the swamp said to connect to it. But then, one day, demons began to appear, one after the other, from deep in the swamp. The villagers feared that Hell was overflowing. The demons mercilessly attacked the villagers. They could only watch in fear. They could do nothing more than hide themselves and tremble. So, did someone exterminate them? Unfortunately, there is no Momotaro or Superman in this fairy tale. Then, did they get the whole village together to fight them? Heavens, no. The villagers weren't nearly strong enough to fight on equal terms with the demons. Then, the only recourse would be to flee the village. They couldn't do that either. To the villagers, it was their beloved homeland. It didn't matter how terrifying the demons, they wouldn't have run away so easily. Then, what did they do? Wouldn't they just get wiped out? Unable to fight and unable to run. All they could do was wait for the village to be destroyed. Then, when everyone had lost hope, their god, Oyashiro-sama, descended onto them. I see. So Oyashiro-sama came down from the sky and beat up all the demons then. You're such a boy, Kei-chan. You always jump straight to using force to resolve things. Shion sighed, a little annoyed. Embarrassed, I held my tongue. The thing about Oyashiro-sama, he wasn't a violent god who would beat them up, like you're saying. He was a kind god filled with love and benevolence. The strength of Oyashiro-sama descended from the heavens couldn't be compared to that of the demons. They didn't even fight, they simply prostrated themselves before his radiant authority. Oyashiro-sama urged them to go back to hell from whence they came, but the demons wept and challenged him, saying they could never return. The world of the demons, too, has harsh commandments. They claimed they had been banished from hell. Demons who didn't have a place to go, either in hell or in the human world. Of course, they were at fault for attacking the village. They deeply reflected on it and were sorry. As the villagers conversed amongst themselves, little by little, they came to pity the demons, and, after talking with everyone in the village, they decided to live alongside them. A lot of fairy tales have them being exterminated or driven away, but you don't often hear one where they live in peace. You're right. Demons are supposed to symbolize all evils. A story where they decide to live together with humans is certainly strange. When the demons first heard the villagers' invitation, they doubted their ears, but soon burst into tears of joy. The villagers had given them a place to live. It was said that in payment for this good deed, the demons shared their many kinds of power and secrets with the villagers. Oyashiro-sama was very pleased with this happy exchange. He gave the demons the bodies of humans so that they would be indistinguishable from the villagers. He himself decided to stay on the surface and watch over the everlasting peace between them. A land in which man, demon, and god lived together. I had thought the word demon was a noun, meaning evil that needs to be exterminated. A god may have mediated for them, but you don't often hear happy endings like that where both sides live in harmony. I see. I guess it is kind of interesting. Although the normal fairy tale ends there, it was revised quite a bit during the Edo period into a much longer story. After that, the humans and demons intermixed, and eventually there was no difference between them. So the demons ended up disappearing? No, not at all. Half of them stayed just as they were. The knowledge the villagers had received from the demons basically made them into something inhuman, what people call transcendent. They were well aware the power they had was heresy, and as those below worshipped them, they lived out their lives in secrecy. This story is the root of many derivative tales and pieces of fiction. It's the foundation, I mean. The basis. What do you mean by root? She means the part about the villagers having demon blood. What I mean is, all the legends from around here are based on the premise that the villagers are descended from demons. There was a hint of amusement in Shion's face as she said that. It was like she wanted to say that she, too, had demon blood in her. Is there any proof, though? Maybe it's somehow rooted in historical fact beyond just fairy tales. Oh, my Barakun, Then do you believe that demons really did come out of the swamp and breed with humans? Well, it's not that I don't believe it, but when she said demon, she meant the ones from hell, but in ancient Japan, the word hasn't necessarily been used to denote only that kind, right? The more well-known use involves the drifting foreigner theory. As the story goes, Westerners who were shipwrecked in nearby seas had such markedly different customs that they were called demons. Japanese people were relatively similar in appearance to other Asians, but everything about those from the West was different. Their physiques, their faces, and their skin color. In Japan, terms like red demon and blue demon evoke images especially of Westerners. Lacking in skin pigments, Westerners would sunburn easily and turn red. Being fair-skinned, I think blood vessels appearing on their skin would look blue, too. A handful of accidental aliens would drift in Japan and came under persecution, being called demons. They would flee into the mountains to survive, turn into bandit groups, and attack villages for food and the like. How does that explanation sound? Maybe it's a bit childish. Takano gave me a weird smile when, having come up with such an impromptu hypothesis, I unconsciously followed up with self-depreciation. Still, she didn't smile as if to make fun of me. It's not ridiculous. There are a lot of people who subscribe to the drifting foreigner theory. Even so, nobody actually knows what happened. Were they groups of foreigners who had turned into banditry, or were they really demons who had come from the bottom of the world? Then, Takano-san, which one do you believe? The truth of the matter aside, I'd rather believe the more fantastic explanation. It's more fun that way, isn't it? Her answer made her sound a wee bit like a romanticist. Here, I thought she'd reject unrealistic stories like that. Now then, this is where the fun begins. Takano-san brought an end to her storytelling and waits for a moment as if to tantalize us. Suddenly, Shion looked around, as if something had caught her eye. Her head bobbed to and fro, like she was making sure nothing had changed. What's wrong, Shion? I'm sorry. Please don't worry about it. Shion pretended as though nothing had happened. Takano-san also made sure nothing had happened, then cleared her throat and broached the next subject. I explained that half of the villagers have demon blood. That blood, they actually say that it's the blood of the kind of demon that eats people. Man-eating demons? That escalated quickly. That blood still runs through the villagers' veins. They say that sometimes the blood awakens from its slumber. I thought the fairy tale had a happy ending, with the humans and demons living in peace, but it began to suddenly change into a brutal, bloody story. Well, they eat people. They say that every decade or so, they can't help but want to feast on human flesh. The villagers can't eat other villagers. So, when this happens, it's said that they descended on the human villages and conducted onikakushi. What's an onikakushi? Broadly speaking, it's when a demon kidnaps someone, when a person is demoned away. They say the villagers of Onigafuchi would overwhelm unfortunate human villages in order to kidnap sacrifices. Takano-san's explanation was plain and simple, but when I imagined what it must have been like, it was terrifying. They lost their human reason. The villagers turned into real demons en masse. They attack the villages they loathe in the dirty world of the masses below, and then they kill and eat their sacrifices. So they're no different from demons after all. What did Oyashiro-sama do? Wasn't he supposed to be staying in the village and watching over them? Oyashiro-sama knew about it, of course. Onikakushi isn't indiscriminate. The villagers apparently never kidnapped anyone other than the sacrifices decided upon by their god. In the texts, it's usually one or two people. A village inhabited by those both human and inhuman. It was like the heartwarming episode's colors had inverted, like negative film. revealing the painful and ugly truth. So, on the nights when they raided villages, they would feast on their kidnapped sacrifices, which is why the nights became known as Watanagashi. Watanagashi? Tonight's festival was Watanagashi. I just couldn't reconcile the fun festival with the horrible tale Takano-san was telling me. Watanagashi, well, wasn't it about giving thanks to the futons we use over the winter or something? Kei-chan, Wata has another meaning, you know? It means entrails. Shion, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Entrails? Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. Like fish guts. Wait, what? Like a jigsaw puzzle, the fun times I had today and Takano-san's grotesque tale clicked together in my mind. Watanagashi, so gut spilling. I didn't think saying that could ever feel so nauseating. Yes. It's as you imagine, my Barakun. Right now, the Watanagashi Festival might just be a somewhat early summer festival occurring every June, but it used to be different. It used to be a ghastly, cannibalistic feast, held on the night the villagers had collected their unfortunate dinner. That can't be true. I had no real reason to say that, but I couldn't help it. My Barakun, you said the Watanagashi is a ritual about purifying futons, right? What do you think the futons, filled with cotton with wata, represent? Futons are futons. They're beds. They're things for sleeping in. What else could they possibly represent? I was rattling on, desperately attempting to deny the horrible festival that Takano-san was describing. Deep down, however, I found myself understanding all too well what she meant. Futons, stuffed with cotton. If the cotton represented entrails in both pronunciation and meaning, then entrail-filled futons would have to be humans. Why don't you think back to the offertory dance Rika-chan performed? Do you know what she was doing up there? No, I don't. I didn't even watch the whole thing anyway. Shh. Kei-chan, you're getting too worked up. Shion grabbed one of my ears, reminding me that this wasn't somewhere I should raise my voice. Even so, I still can't suppress this agitation I feel. Rika-chan was carrying a festival hoe. You've probably realized it already, but that's not a hoe for plowing fields. It's a tool for dissecting human bodies. I didn't see the dance all the way through, so I don't know what kind of performance Rika-chan was putting on after I left. When I told this to Takano-san, she kindly explained Rika-chan's dance to me. To summarize what she'd said, after what I'd seen, Rika-chan would pierce the futons with that hoe, cut them open, and pull out the cotton inside. She'd cut the cotton out one bit at a time and set it afloat. That's the kind of ritual it was. Broadly speaking, it was quite the bombastic ceremony, where they'd rip out the guts and throw them into a basin. And then the ritual was over. It's thought that afterwards, the villagers, each with a different role, dismantled the flesh piece by piece and feasted upon it. Hee hee. At Takano-san's strangely happy giggle, I felt, for some reason, violent displeasure. Rika-chan, every day during our lunch break, she'd take a rice-pounding mallet into the schoolyard, and she'd work so hard, sweating bullets, to practice for the offertory dance she had done today. All that effort, all that work, Takano-san disgraced it. Even though she'd worked so hard to practice for today. Takano-san, I think you should choose your words more carefully. Kei-chan's pretty naive, so please don't tease him so much. A moment before I opened my mouth to express how angry I was, Shion stopped me. Shion must have been fully aware of how that story made me feel. I'm sorry. I thought you'd like a story with that sort of shock value, since you're a boy. Takano-san spoke without a hint of malice as she smiled gracefully. After hearing all that, did you figure out what kind of stuff is in this storehouse, Kei-chan? See? Look. Shion pointed out one of the walls vaguely illuminated by the lantern's light. There was... Mere moments ago, they hadn't held my interest. They were just boring-looking tools lined up on the shelves. Ugh. All those uninteresting tools that I didn't understand how to use, they all suddenly took on a new meaning, and I couldn't help but let out a groan. At first, they had looked like carpentry tools, like chisels or planes. However, when I thought back, I'd seen pictures of these sorts of tools before. Yeah, they came up in a Japanese history textbook. Yes, on the page introducing the Kaitai Shinso, or the new text on anatomy. These sorts of things, they're printed realistically in the literature of Germany, capital of the medical world. These aren't carpentry tools. These strangely shaped tools, they're for dissection. Everyone knows that in the Edo period, they would dissect the corpses of those who had been put to death in order to gain knowledge about Western medical techniques. Illustrations of the dissection tools that were used at the time came up in the textbook supplements. The things hung up on this wall all looked exactly the same as those. If you want a scary way of looking at it, think of them as cooking utensils. Hee. Takano-san, holding the lantern, the only light source in the room, led us along the wall. She had the only light, so I had to walk after her whether I liked it or not. Look. Takano-san illuminated a coiled chain, which left a bigger impression than the other things we saw. The chain in itself was nothing unusual, but further along it were metal fetters that were like hinges, clearly meant for binding people. Kei-chan, look at that. Shion tapped me on the shoulder and pointed to a restraining table that was clearly shaped like a person. My spine froze. My blood felt like it was turning into sherbet as it crawled up my back. On each of the joints, there were things like chains and iron balls attached. It was like the table was searching for its next sacrifice, ready to spread their arms wide and close them in. It's probably a chopping block. I think you'd strap the sacrifice down to prep them for eating. The words chopping block sent a jolt through my body. When I looked more closely, there were many dark slices carved into it, as though from a knife or a saw. They were the most clear-cut signs of usage you could ask for. It proved these tools weren't just for show, they were used for their original purpose. If someone was strapped tightly onto this table, they probably wouldn't be able to move even a muscle. Their guts would be defenseless. You'd take one of those eerie-looking cooking knives lined up over there and stab them with it, and then you'd slice open their belly and dissect them? I'd heard the stories, but this is incredible. Before coming in here, Shion had mentioned she had a good guess of what was inside, but it seems to have exceeded her imagination. There's still more. How about it? More fascinating than a wax museum, isn't it? Takano-san had this happy expression like she was visiting a toy store for the first time. I don't get it. This Mio Takano person has nerves of steel. Are these bizarre, grotesque objects that fascinating to her? I, for one, was not enjoying myself. I'll be frank. This was all too weird for me. Still, there was something even more horrifying than all this. That would be none other than Takano-san herself. Takano-san, holding the lantern giving us such a thin beam of light, if she suddenly turned it off, then what would I do when, the next moment, everything went totally dark? That's why I was scared. Takano-san had the only light, and anyway, I was scared. At some point, Shion had started holding onto my shirt sleeve. It was a little annoying to walk like that, but I didn't shake her off. That minor sensation allowed me to feel the presence of an ally, here and now. Before we had even walked halfway through the storehouse, the air I felt in my skin changed completely. These cruel tools lined up, all crammed together in this place. Some were horrible ones made to take away sacrifices' freedom, and some were tools made to efficiently disassemble and prepare the bodies for consumption. Those were just the things I understood. There were plenty of other strange-looking objects that I couldn't even guess the purpose of. Now that I was here, I didn't have the slightest desire to hear the details about what sort of terrifying reasons they were meant to be used for. At the very least, they were all completely different from the sort of clean, simple killing function of a katana. Tools to kill people were obviously constructed in such a way that they could kill people. If that was the goal, then the person you used them on would, obviously, end up dead. The kinds of tools here, however, were different. The tools that were here were for cutting people, for crushing them, for boiling them and cooking them, and for grinding them. They were tools of torture. They weren't made to kill people. People dying was just an incidental result. Actually, they might not even kill them. If the sacrifices could die during such a horrifying ritual process, that would be nice, but they don't even die in the end. They remain in a state of hellish pain. Perhaps they were only being allowed to live. Only now in this moment did I fully realize just how terrifying and fearsome that difference was. People, you see. Most of these wouldn't kill them if used properly. Takano-san, as if reading my mind, displayed a shocking smile. Burning at the stake, the famous method of execution for witches, will kill the person immediately. When the body suffers extreme burns on the skin all over, the decomposition of the skin's chemical makeup produces poison-like symptoms and causes an immense shock to the victim. Though, I suppose it's still very cruel. Compared to the guillotine, you have to wait far longer for that to happen. She described such horrors in a strangely medical way. Shion immediately answered the question I had. Takano-san is a nurse. There's a saying that nothing can scare a doctor. I guess it's true. Oh, and also, there was a method of execution in ancient Rome where they would grill the person. Just like a barbecue. They would cover the person in wire netting and slowly cook them over a charcoal fire. To think the memories of when I went to a day camp with my family would come rushing back now, of all times, so vividly. That's what it was like. Apparently they wouldn't die too easily for some reason. According to one source, even if they roasted one side of a person to a crisp for an entire night, they would still be conscious and able to speak fluently. That's insane. You'd grill someone the whole day and they'd still be conscious? It's said that ancient Rome, famous for their executions, thought of plenty of ways to execute someone while having the victim stay alive as long as possible. Among them, there was one method where they would open the gut, pull out the intestines like sausages, pull them up with a winch, and put them on public display. Shion was behind me, clinging to me. Not just because she was scared. She was protecting her stomach. You would think someone with their intestines pulled out would die instantly, right? Actually, as long as you do it tenderly and thoroughly, it's apparently possible to pull them all out while the person is still conscious. I felt a sick feeling in my stomach. It was like my organs were coiling up, just from Takano-san's stare. Though pulling them out with a winch was a rather exaggerated method. In a more barbaric way, they might slice open the gut, then cut the intestines out and throw them everywhere. It's quite imaginable that they did dreadful things like that too, isn't it? However, those being put to death are conscious. It must be far more terrifying than painful. She spoke with pleasure, as if she had come here on a sightseeing trip. I heard Shion gulping multiple times near my ears. Perhaps Hinamizawa, or rather Onigafuchi village, did something like that for the Watanagashi festival. Listen, if you try hard, can't you hear it? I wanted nothing more than to not hear anything at all. So why? Why only at times like these do I begin to hear things I shouldn't be able to? Takano-san, having realized she'd scared Shion and I enough at this point, smiled soothingly. Then she turned on her heel, raised the lantern, and began to walk again. If Takano-san left us here, we'd get even further away from the light. Shion and I, no matter how scared we were forced to follow Takano-san along her field trip through the ritual storehouse. I suppose we've seen a bit of everything. See? This place is interesting, isn't it? She says, raising the lantern high in the center of the storehouse. The dim lighting didn't change, but for some reason, it felt like I was able to see all of those horrible tools at once. Kei-chan, look up! Shion stammered while grabbing the nape of my neck. I couldn't tell because it was so dark, but there were a lot more tools hanging from the ceiling as well. They all looked like they were made of iron bars, but then I figured it out. Cages. For cages, they were very small. Cramped cages just for one, like a casket. If you got locked up in there... No, you wouldn't get locked up inside it. There was another tool meant for restraining people, where the iron bars would squeeze you tightly. So many big and large, things of all shapes were hanging down. Takano-san's mention of execution by grilling crosses my mind. We weren't just surrounded on all sides by these terrifying instruments. Things crowding the ceiling were even hanging over our heads. There are many of these sorts of bird cages among European torture devices. I'm surprised to see them in Japan as well. Kei-chan, is there something in there? A person? A mummy? Where? Shion desperately pointed to one of the many human-sized bird cages hanging from the ceiling, but I couldn't tell which one she meant. Being that dark, there wasn't any way you could tell if something was there in the first place. I don't see anything. You sure you're not seeing things? Shion didn't seem convinced, but without a means to confirm for ourselves, we couldn't do much but wonder. Maibara-kun, after seeing this, have you come to believe in all of it? The countless terrible rituals passed down in Hinamizawa? It's got nothing to do with believing in them. Now that I've been shown the real thing like this, there's no possible way to deny it. Even the nations of Europe, with all their beautiful landscapes and legends, were like a maelstrom during the terrible witch hunts in the Dark Ages. It's well known that the era gave birth to countless gruesome forms of torture and execution. Japan was the same way. Didn't it have its own era of hellscape-like torturous beasts because of religious suppression and things of that nature? Hinamizawa itself had such a period. It had that much history behind it. Even in Europe, the land of witch hunts, that was all far in the past, no more than a series of historical events, and in this age, nothing that abnormal would ever happen. That must apply to Hinamizawa as well. Just as Europe had its dark age, Hinamizawa had one too. That's how this should be taken. Even if these things all really happened in Hinamizawa, they're all long past. They don't have anything to do with the people living in Hinamizawa right now. Maibara-kun, you really do like this village. It didn't sound like she was making fun of me. Takano-san gave me a light smile. Takano-san, you're researching whether those customs survived into the present. You are, right? Shion suggested something that made my heart leap into my throat. Are you telling me that all these horrible things are still going on even today? What I'm about to tell you is a secret, alright? I told you, Shion-chan, because you're an understanding person, but the other villagers don't want to hear it. If things go awry, I could be ganged up on and punished. Shion flashed a devilish smile, as if reveling in the immorality of it. Maibara-kun, you keep it a secret too, okay? If this gets out, I could suffer Oyashiro-sama's curse, or be made into a sacrifice. If it's the curse, then I wonder what kind of death it'll be this year. If it's the sacrifice, then will I be thrown to the Onigafuchi swamp while still alive? It is tonight, you know. The night of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Takano-san said, bringing her face right up close to ours. As if to say that if she had the choice, she'd rather suffer the curse. That was what she seemed to be implying. Takano-san took a fairly worn notebook out of her paper bag, then began to flip through its pages. There were all sorts of references and newspaper clippings attached to them, and it had all manner of things written inside. The letters were very small and bunched together, so I couldn't tell at a glance what it was about. What I'd really like to do is search through the National Library for newspapers from the era, but here it is. A photocopy of a page from some book was slid into the notebook, and it too was written in small, tight lettering. Like the other pages, I couldn't tell what it was about just by glancing at it. This is a story that actually happened. It was around the end of the Meiji era. They discovered an unknown, mangled corpse, the victim of a murder, in Onigafuchi village. An old newspaper clipping attached to the page spoke of something that was no mere rumor or fairy tale. We don't have most police documents from the time anymore, so it's all based on oral traditions and memories. See, it's not very clear, but it looks like a cutout of a newspaper from the Meiji era. Never before has there been a corpse treated with such cruelty and inhumanity. Could it be the work of a demon? Being a copy of a copy, it was very hard to make out, but it was more than enough to make me feel strangely tense. Near the end of the Meiji era, in old Onigafuchi village, a mangled corpse was discovered. The identity of the corpse was unknown. It wasn't even in a state where it could be identified in the first place. It was missing a head, and each limb was separated from the body. Skin had been peeled off the entire body, and there were markings that implied terrible torture in every place imaginable. Not only that, but the belly had been cut open by a sharp knife, with the entrails completely dragged out. The police immediately began an investigation, but since they couldn't even determine the identity of the victim, much less the criminal, finding answers was extremely difficult. Do you understand what it must have been like? I couldn't imagine such a strange sight, even if I tried. This was the first time I was ever thankful for my lack of imagination. The victim was skinned while alive, underwent all kinds of torture, and was killed brutally. The author here also thinks that even after death, the remains were divided and dissected even further. The epitome of inhumanity. I'm on the opinion that the entire process was performed while the person was still alive, though. What do you think, Baibara-kun? She spoke in a way intended to make me imagine even more vicious things. As my brain was already far over capacity, however, there was no way I could imagine anything more brutal. Then, when I broke my gaze from Takano-san's, those strangely shaped weird tools were all around us. I wonder if you could faithfully reproduce the mutilated corpse discovered at the end of the Meiji era with the tools found in this place. I want to deny it. I don't want to admit that something so terrible could have happened at all. Even so, they were so strange, so terrifying, these tools, and as if they had seen through my attempt to escape from them, they did nothing but ridicule me silently. So that creepy incident, what was it in the end? The author says that, regarding Onigafuchi village's dreadful customs, they've survived into recent post-Meiji days, and that perhaps they lasted until around the beginning of the Showa period. This corpse, which at a glance had been brutally killed after a period of torture, in actuality, however, it was the pitiful sacrificial remains of the man-eater's terrifying feast. The corpse was just leftovers. It was so fantastic, so strange, that it didn't feel real. Was this an extension of the legends, too? It happened in the Meiji era, though, which is just too recent to be called a legend. Also, there's a newspaper clipping right here suggesting it. Okay, but even if it really happened, it was a long time ago, right? I mean, the Meiji era ended 100 years ago. That's all. Only 100 years ago. Besides, it kept happening even after the beginning of the Showa period. Like with the uproar around the post-war canned flesh incident. Oh, I apologize. That story was taboo, wasn't it? Takano-san immediately stopped talking as if worried about Shion. Shion briefly looked somewhat angry, but that expression soon disappeared. Huh? Takano-san, what did you just say? Canned flesh? Just then there was a huge creaking noise. Everyone whipped around to take a look. It was Tomitake-san, who had opened the door slightly. Ha ha ha. Did I startle you? Oh, Jiro-san, could you not resist seeing inside? This is a splendid treasure trove of torture devices. I'll pass on that. Ha ha ha. I'm bad with this sort of thing by nature. Takano-san held her stomach and had to muffle her laughter, as if she wanted to make a comment about his masculinity. In any case, the dance and ceremony are over, and everyone's going down to the stream. The festival will be over within minutes. Oh, that's no good. My Barakun is just such a good listener that I couldn't help telling stories. I'd really rather you not mention me in a place like this. Jiro-san, could you wait out front? I want to take a few pictures. There are actually a lot of tools I'd like to bring home, but we obviously can't do that. Takano-san took a camera out of her paper bag and began to snap photographs. She looked like she was having fun, like she was on a scavenger hunt. Keiichi-kun, are you leaving too? I've seen enough. Shion, you're good too, right? Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air. I agree. Let's leave. I did feel a bit of hesitation at leaving Takano-san by herself in this darkness. When I thought about it, though, I realized that whatever kinds of evil spirits and ghosts lurked in the darkness, none of them could hold a candle to how scary she was. Even if a phantasm were to appear, she'd be overjoyed and flash her camera at it. It seemed like Shion shared my somewhat rude mental images. We exchanged glances and smiled painfully. We left Takano-san there, bathed in her strobe of camera flashes, and decided to go leave the ritual storehouse. Everyone at the festival seemed to have gone to the stream, so their voices were very distant. The voices of the bugs, on the other hand, were clear, lending an empty feeling of isolation to the place. How was it? Interesting? Tomitake-san gave us a somewhat mischievous grin. You should have been able to tell by looking at how pale our faces were. I should have kept watch outside with you, Tomitake-san. Tomitake-san laughed so delightfully that it wiped away our dark feelings. How did you fare, Shion-chan? Were you scared? I was prepared for it, so I wasn't too afraid, but seeing the real thing was powerful. Shion spoke like she wasn't scared at all. She really had been quite afraid, but seeing as how I was in way worse a state than her, I didn't have much room to talk. As Tomitake-san grinned candidly, my mind, exhausted and locked up by nervousness, began to calm itself. Was Takano-san an adult about this little expedition? You know how she seems like a child sometimes. I was worried she'd be way too excited. Both Shion and I laughed, and left that as our answer. Hopefully she was only looking at things. I'm worried she'll sneak something out of there, or mess with the ritual implement too much and break it or something. Right, that's quite possible. She is alone in there right now. She might pilfer something small and easily concealed, hiding it in her pocket. Yeah, I can see that. Shion said what I was thinking. You sure she didn't break anything? I could clearly hear some noises like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. I'm sorry, I ran out of film. Jiro-san, if you have any more, could I use some? Takano-san suddenly appeared while we were talking about her, taking everyone by surprise. Tomoitake-san smoothly grinned and responded as if nothing had happened. He's pretty mature. I'm all out of spare film. Sorry about that. Jeez. You won't win any Pulitzer Prizes by not stocking enough film for any occasion, you know? I suppose that's it then. Tomoitake-san scratched his head apologetically. Without film, we're done here. Takano-san seemed to have given up because of that too. We checked carefully to make sure we hadn't left anything inside, then closed the door and turned to the heavy padlock we'd left beside it. Takano-san, you didn't sneak anything out, right? How rude. I'm trying not to be that childish. Clack. Tomoitake set the padlock back to the way it was before. From a cursory glance, it didn't look like thieves had snuck in at all. Okay, let's get over to the stream ourselves. If we don't at least set some cotton afloat, there won't be any point in coming to the festival. Tomoitake-san spoke brightly, urging us all on. Setting cotton afloat down the stream. I shake my head a few times, driving away the dismal thoughts as to the double meaning. Takano-san, looking a little let down, kept turning back to glance at the ritual storehouse. Let's just leave it at that, alright? You saw enough to sate your curiosity, didn't you? Oh, not at all. Everything I found only renewed my interests. All those stories and legends suddenly hold water. After today, I'm going to have to change the way I look at all this. Wow, she's truly indomitable. Her curiosity really is something else. Still interested in all this through and through. We descended the stone stairs, and all the people crowding the stream came into view. Near the bottom of the stairs, we could clearly see people receiving cotton that had been cut out for them, then wishing upon the cotton and setting it afloat down the stream. The festival was already over. Damn. I missed my chance to photograph the best part of Watanagashi. Oh, but it's not too late. I'm going to go and set some afloat. Perhaps you could take pictures of me? Takano-san, with an impressed expression, brought her head to Tomoitake-san's shoulder. Despite his age, he looked embarrassed. I felt an honest respect for Tomoitake-san, man to man, for dating such a handful of a woman. Goodbye, then. Maibara-kun, Shion-chan. We're going down to the stream. Would you like to come with us? No, I couldn't get in your way. Please, take your time. Shion waved her hand at them with an expression just as impish as Takano-san's. Tomoitake-san, on his part, seemed to want us to come, but whatever. Shion gave a big stretch and sat down on the stone steps. I'm pretty worn out. Same here. I'm exhausted too. Kei-chan, this is your first Watanagashi, isn't it? You go on, don't mind me. I'm tired, so I'd like to stay away from the crowd. Yeah, if we were to go now, we'd barely slip into the end of the cotton drifting ceremony. My sister and your other friends might be looking for you too. Go on. Oh yeah, right. They've been by themselves ever since we got separated. I'd feel bad if they were looking for me. Then Shion suddenly got a playful look on her face, then put her index finger to her lips as if telling me to keep this a secret. My sister is the type that gets really jealous. If she knew I was hogging you this whole time, she'd never let me hear the end of it, so keep tonight a secret, okay? Keep tonight a secret. Don't say things that are so embarrassing. Not only because of that, either. Considering what we were doing tonight, we really need to keep it a secret. Oyashiro-sama's curse might happen tonight, and we four would be the prime candidates. The loosening threads of tension became taut again. Shion, however, burst out laughing. Alright, I'm going to get out of here before I run into my sister. I really am tired, so I don't have the endurance to put up with her anyway. I can't tell if you get along with her or not. We get along. Though, as she said that, her vague expression explained that there were a lot of oddities in a relationship between twins. I'm an only child, so I don't really get it. Make sure you get along with her, okay? Right. Thank you kindly for your meddling. Okay, I'm gonna go. You should hurry up if you want to make it, Kei-chan. Watanagashi really is about to end. Shion stood up and brushed the dust off her backside. After watching her do so, I returned my eyes to the final ceremony of the Watanagashi festival below me. Seriously, though, what was that sound, anyway? It was kind of unpleasant and creepy. Huh? What sound? The sound. You know, the banging noise. It was really loud, wasn't it? I was giving her a blank expression, so Shion stared hard at me. I stared hard at her, too. Sorry, Shion. Could you give me the short version? What was making noise? Wait, Kei-chan, it didn't bother you? When all's said and done, it was like we were speaking two different languages. Shion, explain it to me, without jokes, from the beginning, will you? What's this about a noise? Kei-chan, you quit joking around too. Really, honestly, it didn't bother you? Neither of us was giving any ground, and both of us were staring at the other in disbelief. We were answering questions with more questions, with no sign of an actual conversation in sight. Baffled, I held in the urge to shout at her, and asked politely one more time. I'm going to ask one more time, okay? I'll ask the questions. Shion nodded silently. Okay, here goes. You said there was a sound. What are you talking about? The banging sound. It was like a kid was jumping up and down on the floorboards somewhere far away. It really didn't bother you? There was nothing to be bothered by. When did you hear this? I never heard anything. Wait, Kei-chan, are you serious? Shion, as if she didn't understand my plain and simple answer, pressed me further, her expression serious. I have no clue what she's talking about, but if it has Shion acting so like this, whatever it was, it gave me the creeps and sent a chill down my spine. It was while we were looking around the inside of the ritual storehouse with Takano-san. About the time she started her stories, I think it was. Little by little. Louder and louder. Off and on. She heard a banging sound, like a child jumping on distant floorboards. That can't be true. Don't start trying to scare me after all that. I didn't hear anything at all. In fact, it was so utterly silent in there that my own heartbeat was almost deafening. Please don't try to scare me either, Kei-chan. It was like something was making noise in time with Takano-san's scary stories, and I was totally creeped out the whole time. The chill rose from my spine to the back of my head. My blood turned cold as it crawled up my body. When it reached my head, my mind froze over. You and Takano-san weren't paying any attention to it at all, so I pretended not to hear it either, but... You heard it, right? It happened a bunch of times, and it was really loud. Shion's eyes were begging me to tell her I heard it. I had no doubt, however, that my own eyes suggested something entirely different. You've got to be kidding, look. In that storehouse, we were surrounded by brutal ritual tools that looked like they were from another planet, listening to terrifying old stories. The whole time, Shion had been hearing a sound that we couldn't hear, by herself. Should that make Shion, who heard it, tremble, or should it make me, who didn't hear it, tremble? I didn't know the answer to that at the time. For now, Shion seemed to have made that decision before I did. What are you laughing about? I really got you, Kei-chan. I was fibbing the whole time. What? Shion laughed, saying how easily scared I was, and clapped me on the back. Her smile seemed somehow artificial, and actually made me feel worse. Then, after leaving me with 2 or 3 generic, diplomatic goodbye phrases, she left, almost like she was running away. All I could do was look after her, my mouth agape. At the end of the day, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Shion laughed it off and said she had been lying, but she couldn't possibly have been lying. Of course not. And now that I think back, Tomitake-san said the same thing, didn't he? I could clearly hear some noises like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. Tomitake-san, the most neutral party present at the time, had said he'd heard something. Then that noise, it was real? The banging sounds. Sounds as though a child was jumping up and down on some kind of floorboards, far away. Oyashiro-sama's curse, which happens every year, might happen again tonight. The most plausible victim candidates were Takano-san, Tomitake-san, Shion, and me. The bustling of the people sounded further away than I would have liked, and the sounds of the insects sounded too close for comfort. I'm near so much human warmth, and yet I can't ever go back there again. That was the ominous idea that sprouted in my mind. Then, all of a sudden, I was pounced on from behind, causing my heart to lurch. Keiichi, we found you! It was Rika-chan. When I turned round, Mion and Rena were there too. Mion sighed and said, "We finally found you. Now we just need to find Satoko." Everyone got split up this year. We should make sure we have somewhere to meet up afterwards next year. How? You're right. It is a festival, so we should all be together. I listened to Mion's happy declaration with a little bit of guilt. Keiichi, did you root for me while I was dancing? Yeah, I saw it all. You did a great job, all the way through. No mistakes either. Yeah, that's right, Rika-chan. That didn't count as a mistake. I tensed up as I realized I'd made a mistake of my own. Mion slapped a hand onto my shoulder a little roughly. A gross sweat broke out over my whole body. Did you do it too, Kei-chan? Did you get some cotton and send it down the stream? You haven't yet, right? Is what I could feel her saying. Without the courage to tell any more lies, I lifelessly shook my head. Huh? You haven't, Keiichi-kun? You should go now, or it'll be over. It'll be over. Sorry. This is my first Watanagashi, so I don't really understand the rules and stuff. That's right. I'm sorry. Mion took my hand, and we started walking down the stone steps. Hey, Kei-chan. What? Did you see Shion? My heart skipped another beat. Maybe Mion could sense my surprise through my hand. No? Oh, well, I sort of think I saw her. You two look so alike, though, so it might have been you. You wouldn't have gotten that wrong. We're wearing different clothes. Huh? Oh, that's right. Mion's momentary silence was like a death grip upon me. I just can't do anything about that Shion. Well, it's her we're talking about, so we can just leave her be. Mion's expression returned to her former, usual smile, and we continued down the stone steps, her firmly pulling my hand along. New tips from the Scrapbook 4, from the Scrapbook 5, and after the festival. But that is the end of Chapter 7. Let's go ahead and read the new tips, and then we will end the episode. From the Scrapbook 4. Watanagashi. The rite of Watanagashi is performed during a village festival every June, even now. But read it back to its origin turns a seriously sanguine ceremony. Originally, Watanagashi would happen at fixed intervals, and after receiving Oyashiro-sama's trust, they chose a sacrifice. Then, the entire village would kidnap, demon away, the person, and ceremonially dissect and devour them in a feast. The rules that determine the intervals are shrouded in mystery. This is because the ceremonies occurred extremely irregularly. There's a theory that it was determined based on astrological fortune-telling, but it isn't too convincing. The residents of ancient Onigafuchi village firmly believed that they were half-man, half-demon transcendents, and that they were more valuable than humans were, and they forced people within and without to accept that. Perhaps the act of kidnapping and eating people was done to prove that they were higher up on the food chain. This is just a hypothesis, but maybe the rite of Watanagashi was a political event for the purpose of either being an outlet for, or outright diverting the attention of, the villagers of the isolated Onegafuchi village, in case any of their complaints or dissatisfactions grew serious. If that's the main reason these ceremonies were held, then it's easy to explain how erratic they were. From the Scrapbook 5. The alleged importance of the implements. I can't find anything that gives a concrete description on what the ritual implements were like. They were, however, real, and there definitely existed a multitude of different kinds. One source states that the implements used in the Watanagashi rite alone numbered 200. The obvious question, then, is why they required such a myriad of them. The rite of Watanagashi was to kidnap people through the demoning away, dissect them, and eat them. I believe the tools were for dissection and restraining, but 200 of them is far too many. Generally, tools evolve in such a way as to reach a solution for a certain problem. Once you reach the ultimate goal, that is, attained a certain level of efficiency, the tool's evolution normally stops there. Regardless, why would they have created so many different kinds? One of the cultural elements responsible for diversification over time is that of entertainment. Tools used for entertainment would evolve over time and branch out. Unlike normal tools, reaching the ultimate goal would be far more of a dead end, and in searching for the next goal, they would split them into many different subtypes. So then, perhaps it's not a stretch to suggest that these 200-plus implements had some sort of entertainment value. This is just a hypothesis, of course, but maybe the human dissection process was viewed as a type of entertainment. The three families of old would develop one new implement, dissection tool, after another, and each was varied, novel, and attracted spectators to keep them from growing bored. It's not unimaginable. All of them have to be enshrined within that storehouse. There isn't much longer until the night of Watanagashi. Though its original intent has been lost, I will reveal the secrets of the traditional ceremonial night within the ritual storehouse. I can't restrain my excitement. Watanagashi cannot come soon enough. Well, that's ominous. After the festival. Late that night, tensions in the police station were strained. In the silence, many of the staff members' eyes shifted back and forth between the clock and their telephones, cutting the seconds in that stifled atmosphere. Kumagaya-kun burst in with a young guy trailing behind him. "Oishi-san, I've got the autopsy results. The court physician just got here. I'm ready to go, sir. I'll head straight for Gifu." "Kuma-chan, things have gotten a bit complicated. They appear to be having a very difficult time determining who the victim is." "Could they have been dismembered?" "Nope. Cooked to a nice light brown." He spoke in sportive tones, but the meaning behind his words was heavy. The staff gave a collective sigh. "All the way? Head to toe? Completely blackened, it seems. Probably smells terrible, too. What a shame it is to be Gifu-san." Cooked with no possessions, then discarded outside the prefecture. At worst, it would have taken a week for the body to be identified. The fact that they'd sniffed it out tonight was huge. Komiyama-kun and a few others are performing a thorough night raid on the dentist in Okinomiya. All we can do is hope a tooth matches some medical records. "Sorry, could someone go buy me 2 or so boxes of Ultra Mild?" The young guy answered an affirmation and darted out into the hallway. We did an excellent job finding it this year. It could be that the people who disappeared in the past years were scattered outside the prefecture like this too. Then why not bury them? Or sink them into the Sea of Japan, or Lake Biwa, or somewhere like that. Why, though? Hasn't the pattern so far been one person dies and another disappears? Kuma-chan, the corpse was inside an oil drum, unrestrained and cooked. They probably burned them after strangling them. They knew it would be found. So what you mean is, from the beginning, they didn't want a person to disappear this year? Not as much as they just aren't related. The person didn't disappear. In fact, whoever did it seemed to have wanted to make a show of it. You mean, it could be a warning? He folded his arms and then heaved a long and heavy sigh. That might have been the case had it happened in town. If they'd messed up, taking the victim far away and burning them alive wouldn't have been noticed. If they meant it as a warning, they should have done it closer to Hinamizawa. They wanted to emphasize the fact that they killed the victim, but instead of doing it somewhere for dramatic effect, they did it outside the prefecture. Did they want to emphasize it or hide it? Boy, I do wonder what Oyashiro-sama is up to this year. A telephone ring cut through the heavy silence. A staff member nearby snatched up the receiver. Oishi-san, it's Komiyama. They have it. The dental clinic in Okonomiya fixed the wisdom tooth 3 years ago. What about the records? Complete with x-rays. Well, I feel bad for waking up the dentist before dawn. Kuma-chan, get out there as soon as you can get the records from Komiyama-kun. Will do. Oh, it's the chief. Thank you for coming out at this hour. Oishi-san, my apologies for my lateness. What's the situation? Well, it's just getting good, you see. We're all getting fired up. Wahoo! Well, that's certainly ominous. Anyway, that's the end of Chapter 7. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm curious to see who the body is, but I already have an idea of who it could be. But, anyway, that's it for this episode. I will see you all in the next episode, so please look forward to it. You all have a good day, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.